Hello, welcome to another episode of The Connoisseur, and today we'll be looking at one of the first initial forays into comics of one of my favorite writer-artists. No, it's not Karl Barks, it's not Don Rosa, it is Frank Cho, and today we'll be looking at his complete run on his works University Squared and Liberty Meadows. As you can see, this is University Squared, The Angry Years by Frank Cho. This was actually a collection of his college strips where he first invented all the characters and ideas he would later use in Liberty Meadows, a strip he created after this to sell to the newspapers. It's actually a really great comic. You see the genesis of all the ideas, and Frank Cho is no stranger to controversy. He was even controversial during his college strip runs, but he never backed down to the PC police, and in fact just kept drawing. And good for you, Frank. You're one of the best. So it's that. Just a second. This is the 10th anniversary special edition, book 1, Eden. As you can see, there is his creation, Brandy Carter, who unfortunately is not real, but that's a discussion for another time. Everybody keeps asking if Brandy's based on a real person. Frank Cho says the one person he based Brandy on was sort of Linda Carter. He kind of based several characters off comic book characters and stuff, so now there's that. Actually, Brandy Carter's father's name is John Carter, something I didn't get until about 2012 when I saw the film John Carter. Then I go, oh, okay, I get it now. I thought that was funny. Anyway, people have a problem with the way he draws women, and I don't really see a problem. She looks pretty cute, kind of a really hot girl next door, and what I like about Frank Cho's drawing of women is that he draws them so they don't look like they'd keel over if they stood upright. They look kind of proportional, actually. Yeah. I'm not saying they exist, but they look like, the women do look like they could exist with their body types. They don't have these stick waists. They actually do have waists. It's hard to explain. They look proportionate. So yeah, I think that's good art style. I would say that Liberty Meadows is a comic strip that's a lot like the movie Who Framed Roger Rabbit, except instead of starring Bob Hoskins as the live human is Jessica Rabbit, and the rest are cartoon animals. Brandy Carter is actually, I believe she is an animal psychologist at the Liberty Meadows Animal Clinic, and Frank is, instead of a duck like in the college years, Frank Mellish is actually a nerd, a geek, a Star Wars fan who's hopelessly in love with Brandy. This is volume 2 where it continues, and as you can see, let's see. One of my favorite things is right here. It's with the Great Wiener Dog Race. Goes on for a few pages. Actually, there are a lot of storylines that go on for several pages, and a lot of them don't wind up how you would expect them to. here's the third book, which actually has my favorite storyline, the Brandy versus Evil Brandy storyline. Yes, you heard that. There are two Brandys in here. One of them is the regular Brandy, and the other is an international terrorist Brandy from another dimension. Did I say this book is good? It's also really weird. But I also found that Frank Cho's sense of humor is very similar to mine. Very politically incorrect, and just really, really funny. I think that's why I gravitate towards Liberty Meadows. Over the course of the books, other than like the adventures of the cartoon animals, Frank Mellish is always trying to work up the courage to ask Brandy out on a date, and there's always some circumstance keeping them apart. Frank Cho is a master at that, and ultimately, Frank doesn't wind up with Brandy, but actually her roommate Jen. You can see, cross out Brandy and put Jen over the heart. This is the final book in the collection, well, the next final book actually. This, as you can see, Frank Cho loves his women. I love Frank Cho's women, so what does that say about me? Actually, the storyline does conclude in Liberty Meadows, the wedding album. It's a hell of a conclusion. I haven't read it in a while. I should probably have read it for this review, but there's a barrier between me and my comic book collection right now. I'm not going to go into it, but yes, there's a literal barrier between me and that comic, so I can't access it yet. It's a temporary barrier. And no, it's not more comics. It's a painting, actually, a picture. It's a very large picture. Anyway, then they did release this. Liberty Meadows, Book 1, the Sunday strips. It's actually pretty cool, because it collects all of the Sunday strips. And, I'm going to show you guys one. It's actually very good art, and I think that, actually I want to show you a picture Frank Cho draws of himself. This is how Frank Cho depicts himself as a monkey cartoonist. I love that. I've actually met Frank Cho in real life. He is not a monkey, disappointingly. But yeah. So that's my collection of Liberty Meadows. Actually, I do have nearly every Liberty Meadows single issue comic, except for the first 5 issues, which I actually did have, but during my move, they were stolen from me along with a whole box of comics. Not happy about that. A box of my comics got stolen, including the first 5 issues of Liberty Meadows. And they were signed! I'm so pissed. But, you know what, it's fine. At least I have the collected strips, and I can get those comics again at some point. And I probably will buy those comics at some point. But anyway, final thoughts on Liberty Meadows. It's a very hilarious comic strip. If you don't take things too seriously, you'll have a lot of fun with it. Is it politically incorrect? Sometimes, but it's also a very good book, dealing with a lot of emotions and slapstick, and a lot of pop culture references. Now, obviously, every time he makes a pop culture reference, this one point where there's Jabba the Hutt, and on the side it says, with apologies to George Lucas, Frank Cho. He does that quite often. Yeah, I really like the books. I'd really recommend them to everybody who loves a good comic book. I mean, look what's happening with Marvel. They're going so politically correct that people are being turned off. Well, if you're tired of political correctness, I'd say go check out Liberty Meadows. I was actually having this discussion with my director of photography. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm a filmmaker. That's why I haven't been recording these videos so often. I've been really busy on pre-production. Takes up a lot of my time. But I was having this discussion with my director of photography, how essentially Logan was the turning point and possibly the end of the comic book superhero movie genre. And I said, at least comic book movies will continue because, as we all know, superheroes aren't the end-all be-all of comic books. And my director of photography is like, no, Hollywood isn't that smart. They won't figure out that there's more to comics other than superheroes. Once the superhero movie genre dies, the comic book movie genre will die. I'm like, my God, he's right. Once the superhero flood of movies reaches critical mass and it all goes down, so will comic book movies. It's too bad. But you know what? At least we'll have the comics. And there's Liberty Meadows, so yeah. Check out Liberty Meadows!